Okay, hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
I'm Gabrielle. I am not a permanent resident of Greenwood yet, but I am the death duel in residence, and I'm so proud to be standing with my friend, licensed funeral director, but also, if you know me, you've heard me call Amy the godmother of death care rehabilitation. I certainly think she is. We're going to talk about natural burial practices tonight with you quickly. But Amy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. I got interested in funerals when I was 55 years old after my father's death and very musical funeral in South Carolina. I came back to Brooklyn and I thought, man, there's stuff that they have in the South sort of in place in terms of their rituals. And I just decided with my kids in high school to go to mortuary school. So I became a licensed director in the next 2 years and now specialize in eco-friendly methods, especially green burial. And I help a lot of families with cremations up there on the hill at the crematory. This is not a sales pitch, okay?
Why don't we get that first slide up there, Ben, please? All right, so I hope, someone laugh at the name that we came up with for this presentation, please. So this is just one example of a wicker casket that could be used. Natural burial also uses pine boxes, mushroom shrouds, and the like. But first, Amy, let's have Ben pull up the next slide just to give everyone a definition. What is natural burial, or green burial, some may call it?
Do you know? It's really a return to the methods of burial that were very commonplace before the Civil War, before embalming, before 20-gauge steel caskets, before concrete vaults around the casket in the ground. Just putting a deceased person, bathing their body, wrapping them in fabric, and lowering them into the earth in the old-fashioned way. It's incredibly powerful. The people who come to these ceremonies and see a deceased person all covered, the face isn't exposed. You can have viewings beforehand, but surrounded by flowers, resting on a tray or in a willow casket like the one you saw. These are kind of transformative experiences with no impediment to decomposition. You want the body to go back to the earth. This form of burial is routine
and
with
pretty ancient.
Yep. Islamic burial, very green, and also Jewish tradition is very green. They are our teachers.
All right, Ben, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so like it said on the last slide, every cemetery does green or natural burial differently, right? This is Cedar Dell. This is the site of nearly 200 green burial lots. It's one of our most ancient places in the cemetery as well. Some of the burials predate the cemetery itself, all the way back to 1699. You can kind of see how it is two circles rippling out, much like the rings of a tree. So we love that. It really does remind us of the life cycles there. But we do want you to do your own research because every cemetery is different. We bury at 5 feet here, but the absolute ideal for natural burial you'll see is between 3 to 4 feet, sometimes 5, depending on where you are, like here at Greenwood.
There's some 14 cemeteries in the state of New York that will allow you to bury a deceased person wrapped in fabric or in a biodegradable vessel. These burials are highly participatory.
Great point.
A lot of families wish to lift the casket themselves, put it on a caisson, march. And in Cedar Dell, there's a very nice long path where we process in the old-fashioned way to the grave. And then the shoveling is kind of a trance-like ritual of filling the grave with soil again. And people really appreciate the opportunity to do more, see more, experience more, and not have funeral directors just take over everything and do it for the family without the family's involvement. Do you understand that?
So Amy's talking a lot about ritual, but I know you're all here to find out what happens underground. So Ben, next slide, please.
The science.
So like I said, natural burial around 3 to 4 feet. But as you can see on the screen, and Amy can talk about this more, you're going to go back to decomposers like bacteria. Actually, I'm going to pause right here. Poll, who says fungi? Who says fungi? Who says a third thing? Okay, great. Everyone's got their own flavor. So yeah, these natural decomposers are there to break down the organic matter with both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So 7th grade science. Anyone having flashbacks? Great. And at the top right corner, we have a carrion beetle, which is a great decomposer that you will also find in those first few feet of soil. Anything else you want to add, Amy?
There are a lot of products on the market that like to say they hasten decomposition, but you really don't need to buy or add anything in addition. The soft tissue on your bone is useful to the soil. It's really powerful to think of your own body as having molecules that are of use to the planet and can be returned. So
and know what to do.
Yeah, it's just allowing nature to do what it can do, and to think of the soil as a kind of solar system where a lot is going on, and in a very purifying kind of way. So the families I see here in Brooklyn want this kind of thing because they don't see the need for artifice or anything to delay decomposition. No embalming. Embalmers, by the way, I used to criticize embalming and say it wasn't necessary. Having worked with embalmers now, so many of them are really talented artists. And
Absolutely.
They do
post-mortem reconstructionist specialists.
They put people back together again. But by and large, the families I serve tend to not need that or want that, and we refrigerate deceased people after their death until the time of the funeral.
So what we're talking about too is options, right? Maybe some of you here tonight didn't know that natural or green burial was an option here in Brooklyn or upstate or in Connecticut. Again, find out what states do it and find a cemetery that resonates with you. Ben, let's see what else we got for them. Ooh, okay, back to rituals. Amy will do a quick little history lesson on shrouding.
Shrouding goes back to ancient Egypt, when the traditions of the knotting and the weaving of the linen were passed down from priest to priest, father to son. Shrouds are traditional in Judaism. The Jewish shroud is called a takrikum. And also Jesus Christ was wrapped in a shroud, and green burial can appeal to conservative Christians as well as Park Slope Food Co-op members. So you never need to label folks as green burial types. We're all one. We all want to go back to the earth, I think, and it is trending, and more families, depending, even the industry measurements and surveys are showing that 60% of families are interested in this and want to hear more.
All right, Ben. All right, this is Amy here at Greenwood with a gorgeous wicker casket. This is a photo with the permission of the family. I'm really proud of this photo for a few reasons. The family is working in concert with our grave diggers and with yourself to produce a really beautiful ritual. And yeah, I don't know. I know we had talked a little bit about some of your most profound experiences. If you want to give the audience one or two real quick.
Well, the family's not in this photo. They're stepping aside for the photographer, but I'm not being cute when I say that as sad as they are, they almost skip out of the cemetery after the service because they're so delighted. And this is a generalization, but even in tragic circumstances, people have a feeling of gratitude and appreciation and happiness for doing it this way. There's also, we're going to show in a minute, this casket is made in Sri Lanka, so it has been on an airplane. It's not local. In a second, we're going to show a locally made tray. Is that the next slide?
I think it's the last one. So
Okay.
let me just say this though too. Land is a non-renewable resource. So there are some other newer methods of disposition, some scientific innovations that Ben's going to show us on the next slide. Is it behind me already?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Has anyone heard of natural organic reduction or body composting? Okay. I see the two death doulas I know raising their hands. Okay, great. So natural organic reduction is now legal in New York State. There's a growing number of states that have legalized this, and it is meant to mimic natural burial. It still is very natural. Just the only difference is you're going to be in a vessel with alfalfa sprouts and all kinds of other natural materials that will aid and accelerate the decomposition process. But this has been a call and an answer to natural burial, but in an urban, an ever-growing urban environment. Yeah, and then of course, there's also alkaline hydrolysis or aquamation, water cremation that Amy will tell you a little bit about.
That method is legal now in the state of Connecticut. So we drive people there to be placed in a canister filled with a highly alkaline fluid that takes the soft tissue off the bone, just as fire would in the crematory over there. And then the bone is milled and into a powder. And
it's very similar to remains by fire.
I just counted some 25 states in the United States now use alkaline hydrolysis. And
not here yet, but maybe that you've learned so much tonight, you will educate others and they will know that it is an option for them.
Composting is legal in New York, but no one is yet doing it. I think Greenwood is studying up on it and developing a plan. So soon we may have composting in Brooklyn.
Yeah, 1 to 2 cubic yards of usable soil, which is wild. And if I'm lucky enough, I put me in my Uncle Vinny's tomato garden. That sounds great. But we really just wanted to give you a little, just a little bit of what's going on in the death care industry and field, what death doulas and funeral directors and cemeterians are teaming up to dream up, use science, use ritual, use our history and our future forward thinking to create something new together to, I don't know, just think about life and death a little differently these days. So if you want to learn more, we want to see these films just as badly as you. If you want to learn more, follow Greenwood, follow our newsletter at the QR code, follow Amy. Feel free to come chat with me and our incredible volunteers at our info booth. And we're just happy we had the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what we do and what's out there. And hopefully it gets you to have some contemplative thoughts and conversations with you and yours. Thank you.
I appreciate all of you for coming out.